Is it time to create something different with your life and your body? Right Body for You will inspire you and invite you to a different way of creating the body and the life you truly desire. Ready? Let's go. Here's your host, Donnielle.
And welcome to Right Body for You. I am your host, Donnielle. Thank you for joining me now in the past, in the present, or the future. If this is the first time you're listening, or the 100th, billionth, trillionth, gazillionth time you're listening, I'm always grateful when you choose to play in the possibilities with me that bodies can be, your life can be, and how all of it works together to create something even greater than we could ever possibly imagine before. Excuse me. You know, my journey with bodies started a long time ago. I didn't start enjoying bodies till about 9 years ago, but I've been working with bodies for a long time. And when I mean a long time, I mean a good 30 years. You know, I started when I was, barely in my double digits of life with my mom, who was a nutritionist, and she did a health talk radio show for 27 years. So I've had a lot of experience with bodies and what it takes to change it, what is required to change it, alternative therapies, you name it. I either know the person, I almost married the person, I have dear friends who are the people. I've met a lot of fun and unique people who are really caring about the world and bodies and changing things with it. Mother was really the one that, for me, started all of that. And so what was fun is I really had an education of what this reality calls alternative therapies, right? Not necessarily the non-medical or the metaphysical or anything. It's really been interesting to see all these different modalities come through over the years, and the unique and amazing things that I got to receive from each one of them. And what I found amazing is Right Body for You is a specialty class of Access Consciousness, and Access was the first thing that really said, hey, why don't you ask your body what's going on for it? Which, that simple sentence just changed my life, changed the way I look with bodies, work with bodies, be with my own body. And now I get to travel the world, working with people, facilitating classes, these Right Body for You workshops. And, because I was just in Australia. Yes, I was just in Australia facilitating the Right Body for You workshop. I do private sessions. I do telecalls. And what's fun is to see people change, to really start embracing the possibility that bodies can be, instead of the argument, the weak spot, the fight, the argument that we've been taught that bodies are, that we have to be in control, that we have to dominate, that it's out to get us. I always love when people just go, well, my body will be the death of me, which really just, it's funny. I know I have a warped sense of humor. I get that. And you got to admit, it's kind of funny when people go, oh, my body will be the death of me. Well, you're not actually going to, when you don't have your body, that is definitely a different state than what we're taught, than, what this normal everyday life is. And, and these are some of the things I get to explore on this Right Body for You radio show that I get to do, Radio has been in my blood, literally, since, early on. And I do mean literally. I remember one time my mom and I, it was a 7 a.m. Saturday morning radio show. And the gate to the complex, the office complex where the radio show was being broadcast, was locked. So what does any good teenager do for her mother at 7 or 6:45 in the morning? She climbs a fence. I still remember tearing my pants and bleeding. So when I say it's in my blood, it is truly in my blood. And this topic that we're talking about today, which is the who's winning, you or your body, okay? Are you in a fight with your body, a fight to the death? And if it is, who's winning, right? Because we're always worried about who's winning or losing a fight. What else is possible if you're not fighting with your body, at odds with your body? What if you could actually have a body that has your back? And what's interesting is this topic first really came up when I did a teleseries called Shattering the Lie of Body Image. It was a pretty dynamic series. It started as a one-off pop-up telecall, because every once in a while a topic grabs me by the back of the neck, shakes me, and says, do a call on this, do a call on this. And this was one of them, was the Shattering the Lie of Body Image, because I really began to see and perceive how much of a lie body image is. And so we did a pop-up call with just a one call, and then we did a whole series of Shattering the Lie of Body Image, which you guys can find it on my website, Donnielle.com, if you'd like. So in this first pop-up call, though, this notion about fighting came up and really started being present in things. And what was interesting is, it's like, oh, we should do a call on this too, we should do a radio show on this as well. And what was really interesting is, as I was researching for the show, as I like to do, I really began to see how big of a subject this is. Because, one of the things I love to explore on this show is the correlation between your body and your life. That's one of the first things I really liked about Access and Right Body for You tools, was that your body, when you change your life, your body changes. And when you change your body, your life changes. Let me say right now, I'm not saying your life changes because you have a certain type of body, or, you have a body that looks a certain way, feels a certain way, so that, of course, your life is happy. It's not what I'm saying at all. But just that when you were changing your point of view around your body, the judgment of it, how much your life can actually change. And so when I was researching for this show today, I was really looking at that, and I'm like, wow, this is actually a huge, huge topic, because so many people do fight as a way of living their life, as a way of creating, as a way of being in the world. And so, yes, with your body, it's one of our main showdowns, and it also stems to really every aspect of our life, okay? Because so when we get into this, thanks, Julie. In the chat room, she said it was a kick-ass series, or ass-kicking series. Sorry, dyslexia strikes at random. She's talking about the Shattering the Lie of Body Image. And if I am not, Julie is not just a voice in my head. Julie is somebody in the chat room, which if you have never joined us for the chat, in the chat room for a live show, please do. You can go to inspiredchoicesnetwork.com, click on the top where there is a menu, and it says chat room. Sorry. It says chat room. Just click on it, put your name in, and join us. Make comments, ask questions, talk to each other. One of the producers tries to make me laugh every time she's in the chat room, so we have some fun there. And so when we were talking about this series, on the series, when we were talking about this fight, what I mean by that fight is, we've been taught in this reality to fight for your right, not just your right to party, which is it's an American song, not just to fight for, yes, for your fight for the right to party, but the fight to very be. And what's interesting is lately this energy of proving has been coming up a lot as well. What are you proving? What fight are you choosing to prove something? And what are you fighting against? And, what was interesting is, so, as I'm preparing, I write questions and see what comes up. And so in this, I'm like, okay, so what are you fighting with it? What are you fighting for? And it was some really interesting things that came up. It was fighting for the rightness of our point of view, fighting for the weakness of our body, which was another thing that was very interesting that came up. Even fighting for the fight, fighting to prove that we exist or that we can receive, fighting for money, fighting for life, fighting for validation, fighting for invalidation, which always makes me kind of chuckle when we have both sides of that. And it has just kept going on and on and on and on. So my other question is, where did this notion of that we have to fight actually come from? Where is it that first stated that we went, hey, you know what? You can't just be or receive something, or you can't just ask for it. You actually have to fight for it. And it gets to that, no pain, no gain, no fight, no glory, no, if you didn't work hard, it's not worth it. If it comes too easy, it has no value. And so, we have all of these expressions that we've been really implanted with. If you hear that enough, no fight, no glory. It's like, oh, well, to get glory, I must have a fight. Or no pain, no gain. Oh, well, it came too easily. So, of course, there was no benefit in it. I did it wrong, which always cracks me up. The number of people I've talked to, and they've been like, I did it wrong because it was too easy. You got great dynamic results, yes, but it was too easy. And we've been taught this throughout this entire reality. So not just with our bodies, but with our daily lives. If it wasn't a fight, then it wasn't worth it. We didn't conquer it. We didn't, take from somebody else. And what if that's where some of that, what this reality calls selfishness comes from, or that fear of being stolen from, that fear of there's not enough for everybody, that fear of when we have to prove how amazing we are by being better than another person, to prove that we have the right and that we fought well and that we survived. So where is it that it's just our basic right to survive, not even thrive, but basically fight to survive? Where does this actually start from? Where does this actually come from? Where is it the place that makes us go, this is the way and how to be? And everything else is a doormat. Have you noticed that? It's like, well, if you're not aggressive, if you're not fighting, then you're a doormat. Then you're letting people walk all over you. You have to stand up. You have to push. You have to be the winner, be the survivor. Okay. I don't know, maybe it stems from those early years where we were lucky to make it through winter. I do a lot of time of studying history as well, because that's what happens when you have an archaeology degree as well as the other degrees that I like to throw in there. I know, hello, humanoids, so many different interests. And so, maybe that is where it starts. And then we bastardized it into fighting for every breath, fighting for the right to choose, the right to be, the right to create, So I'm really getting how big of a topic this actually is, and what will change it. I have some tools we're going to share, because I'm going to go to first a little break here. I do have some tools we're going to share as when we come back throughout the show, and just that has helped me shift this fight, shift it from a fight into creation, into actual choices instead of reaction. Okay. And so, what do you know that now is the time to let everyone know? All right. We are going to take a quick little break. This is Donnielle. You are listening to Right Body for You. We are on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back.
The life and the body you secretly hope for is possible. Somewhere you know that, right? What if creating that body and life is not about deprivation and sacrifice? Would you be willing to choose it? What if it could be as simple as changing how you look at things? Right Body for You with Donnielle is a different kind of radio show. Each week, Donnielle invites you to you. She shares simple tools that you can use immediately to create changes in your body and your life. Something different begins now. Listen for Right Body for You every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Mountain, and 11 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What if you really do change molecules by your interaction with them? What if the change you've been looking for is right before your eyes? What if the uncomfortableness that comes with difference could be fun? What if the closed-minded people of the world no longer determined our world? What if gratitude trumps judgment every time? What if your kindness healed the world? What if the earth is asking for your help? And what if you had the resources to give it? This is your invitation to step into something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Picasso, Da Vinci, Shakespeare, Aristotle all knew to be true. Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. What if there are no dumb questions, or any question too large? What if you being you are the gift and the change this world requires? Is now the time? For more questions to create a change in your world, sign up for a free video series at beingyouclass.com. My gift to you, beingyouclass.com.
This is Right Body for You with Donnielle. To participate in the program today, please call toll-free in the U.S. 815-880-8255 or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. If you'd like to email a question, please send it to Donnielle@accessconsciousness.com. Now, back to the program.
And welcome back to Right Body for You. I am your host, Donnielle. Thank you so much for joining me today, in the past, in the present, or even the future. I am so grateful anytime you take a moment or an hour and see what else is possible. Explore with me the world of bodies and consciousness and oneness and energy and what else is possible, and seeing the other point of view and words and languaging and fun with bodies and chains and more and more and more and more and more and more. And if you are having fun with this, if you enjoyed the shows, if you've been to one of the Right Body for You workshops with me and you had a good time with that, I would really like to invite you guys to a brand new class I'm doing. It's called Right Body for You, The Tools in Action. It's never been done before in Right Body for You history or Access Consciousness history. So I'm really curious to see what this class creates. Every time I do a Right Body for You workshop, I hear all the time people go, "Can I just put you in my pocket and take you with me so, I can really get to know the tools and how to use it, when to use it." And, in addition to the class audios or private sessions or radio shows like this, I'm like, what else can be created? And so we actually came up with this fun new idea called Right Body for You, The Tools in Action. So what it is we are going to, I'm bringing the manual of Right Body for You to life. What that means is I've designed a series of activities over a 5-day period that will bring up using the tools presented in a Right Body for You workshop. And then from there, I get to be there to help you implement them immediately. So it's not, like a controlled environment. Oh, next time you're here doing this, be this. It's like, nope, we're here, do it. not sure which question to ask, and not sure what your body is saying. Cool, let's talk about this. Let's spot pocket. Let's get some clarity. And so this is why I'm calling it Tools in Action, because it's not presenting the tools, it's using the tools. And you know what? This class literally woke me up this morning. I sat up straight in bed and went, oh my gosh, this class is 8 weeks away. So it's 8 weeks away, you guys. It's in September, and we're doing it in New Orleans, the French Quarter of New Orleans, Louisiana, which if you have never been, it is quite a unique, amazing, interesting city. I have a special affinity for it. I go several times a year, and I can't wait to share this city with some people. There is a limit of 30 people because I want this to be an intimate experience. I want to be there for you guys to use the tools, get a breadth and depth, because, you know, the slogan of this is, this isn't a classroom, this is life, okay? Because we'll meet for about an hour each morning, then after that we go out into the cities. I have a bunch of things planned, tours, activities, food, scavenger hunts, to really, really bring to light the Right Body For You tools. Okay, so 8 weeks away. So Right Body For You workshop is a prereq. Like I said, we're not presenting the tools, we're using the tools. But never fear. The weekend before the Right Body For You Tools in Action, I'm doing a Right Body For You workshop in Edmonton, Canada, okay? And it is live in person and live stream. So if you can't join us, you can do it over video conferencing and still come to the Right Body For You Tools in Action in New Orleans. There are also pods. There's going to be a pod in Mexico. There's going to be a pod in Kansas City, so you can get together with a bunch of people, or you can come and play with us in Canada. In Edmonton, we had such a fun time that they asked for another one before the Tools in Action, so we could go there. Some people in the chat room who are coming to New Orleans saying they can't wait. I know. Me too. But literally, I sat up this morning going, oh my gosh, it's 8 weeks away. And, I mean, it was that fun, but it's like, wow, you know, we started planning this last year, and now it's 8 weeks away. So you can go to Donnielle.com, DONNIELLE.com, and check it out and find out more about it. Sign up for September if you haven't had a workshop yet. But please do consider it, because like I said, this class has never been done. So you'll be part of history in Right Body For You and Access Consciousness. So I'm excited. So please do check it out, Donnielle.com. And I also know that this will help end some of that fight with the tools, fight with your body, which is what we're talking about today. Because I know a lot of people, Right Body For You, this radio show, there are so many tools. And I know a lot of people get that confusion, and in that confusion, they take it as a fight. They fight to know which tools to use. They fight to use the tools right. And so I know that this workshop will actually help end some of that fight, because I get to be there helping you guys implement the tools immediately. So I'm very, very excited. Anyways, all right. So, but today that is what we're talking about, is that fight. That fight for, yes, the fight with your body, but it is so much bigger than that as well. It is that fight for survival, that fight for life. You know, and the fight with our body, not to be, you know, too funny, but it is a very personal at-home fight that seems to be going on constantly, because guess what? You're constantly with your body. And so there's a reason why it seems like a personal fight, because, well, you're doing it. You're with you. You're with your body. And then from there, it seems to be the acceptable fight as well. We're supposed to be fighting something. You know, is that something we can, you know, destroy and uncreate altogether, please? The fight, the point of view that we have to be fighting something. Because one thing I do know, and I've seen this in countless different areas, is the more you resist something, the more you fight, the more you fight for something, the more it persists, the more it actually takes control over you, and the more you actually create it. Okay, because that's one thing I know from my experience from working with people is the thing we are fighting against, whether it's the limitations, whether it's our judgments, whether it's for our rightness, our wrongness, whether it's for our ability to live, the more we fight against it, the more we solidify it into being, the more we make it stronger and unchangeable, which is something I find hilarious because I do this well. Trust me, I use the tools. But we're always like, oh, I want to change this, I want to change this, I want to change this. And then we go to this place where we fight for it. Oh, I'm going to fight for it instead of choosing it. And in that fight, we're actually creating something that we need to overcome, okay? So let's talk about this overcome thing a little bit. Because one of my favorite things to do is to look at the underlying point of view of things, okay? And one of the things I love about Right Body for You tools and the Access Consciousness tools is it's not about overcoming something every day, okay? We see this in so many different modalities, like take AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, blah. It's because I got to talk for a living, right? Alcoholics Anonymous, there we go, or NA or any of those. But what you do is you stand up, you claim your illness, your weakness, and in that claiming you solidify it, and then you set about to overcome it every day, because that's actually what they were taught. So it's like, hi, I'm Donnielle, I'm an alcoholic, or hi, I'm Donnielle, I'm the reformed thinker, as I like to say. But we do this, and it's like, okay, this is who I am. I am no longer fighting it. I am embracing the weakness. I am embracing who this is, who I be. And then every day it's a struggle. Every day it's a journey. Every day it's to overcome it, to not let it get to you. And what's interesting in that is, yes, it takes a lot of strength to overcome something every day. It really does. It takes a lot of strength, a lot of energy to overcome something every day. But if you weren't overcoming something every day, what energy would you have available for creation? What else could you choose? What else could you create if you weren't overcoming something every single day? Which is one of the things I love about the Right Body for You and Access Consciousness tools, is it's not about overcoming it. It's actually about changing it. How many people are asking for change and then going to the fight of it, and in that fight of it, you are creating the problem to overcome every day and keeping it in place, locking it into being. But then, hey, you know how strong you are by how much you overcome this every day. Then you know what to judge if you are a weak moment and, you think or you drink or you judge or whatever it is. How often do we actually use that as the reason and justification for the limitation that we are loving so much tonight? Oh, I know who I be when I have this limitation into place. I know what I am. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I'm not capable of, because once I embrace this, once I know who I be, I know what I need to overcome. I know what I need to change. How many of us are looking for that wrongness to know what to change instead of just choosing something to change? Okay. And so this is where that fight comes in. Well, I'm going to fight for this. I'm going to overcome it every day. I am going to be stronger than I was yesterday. I am going to not eat that cookie. I'm going to not sleep with that man. I am not going to take a drink. I am not going to, the list goes on and on and on. The things that we go every day, I will not, I will not, I will not, I will not, I will not. And, we never go to, I will. And I know some people have tried this with affirmations, done it myself. Affirmations instead of, I won't drink today. It's like, I will resist drinking today, or I will not sleep with that man, or comes, I won't have sex with that man. Or, sorry, weird energy popped up with that. So something's going on in somebody's universe. But we do that. We get into this place where it's all about what we won't do instead of what we will do, okay, and what we are actually capable of, and how much of that is that fight, that fight for not doing it, the fight for doing it. All right, we need to take a quick little break already. Wow. When we come back, we're going to explore this more about the fight to do it or the fight to not do it, and how that actually creates, ironically, the fight that we're trying to overcome every day. And what would life be like if we weren't overcoming something every day? Okay? This is Donnielle. You're listening to Right Body for You on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back.
The life and the body you secretly hope for is possible. Somewhere you know that, right? What if creating that body and life is not about deprivation and sacrifice? Would you be willing to choose it? What if it could be as simple as changing how you look at things? Right Body for You with Donnielle is a different kind of radio show. Each week, Donnielle invites you to you. She shares simple tools that you can use immediately to create changes in your body and your life. Something different begins now. Listen for Right Body for You every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Mountain, and 11 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that, when run, assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is Right Body for You with Donnielle. To participate in the program today, please call toll-free in the U.S. 815-880-8255 or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. If you'd like to email a question, please send it to Donnielle@accessconsciousness.com. Now, back to the program.
And welcome back to Right Body for You. You're listening to, hopefully you're listening to Right Body for You. I am your host, Donnielle. Thank you for joining me now in the past, in the present, or even the future. Today we are exploring that fight with your body, that fight for the right to live, that fight for survival, that fight that we seem to be doing every single day. And it's really interesting, this energy that comes up with fight, because it really does have a dynamic energy, you guys. I experienced this firsthand over the weekend because, anger comes up and things like that. And what was interesting, I totally tell on myself, you guys know this, I got mad at my family. And basically I was fighting with them. And I was fighting for the right of my birthday party. And it was interesting because I actually said that as well. I'm like, how many times do I have to fight to celebrate my birthday this year? Which is really interesting because I've done this battle this year for a lot of things. It's like, do I go to this class or do I celebrate my birthday? And if I go to this class, I can't celebrate my birthday. And I didn't celebrate my birthday the last few years. And I really want to celebrate my birthday. And then, and then weird things came up with that. And so it's like, I'm not going to class, I'm doing this, blah, 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 because I'm choosing for me. Well, and all this kind of fight came up. And then a friend of mine, who is like a pseudo family member, he he chose to get married on my birthday. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Now I have to spend my birthdays with this family and do his wedding and blah, so I'm like fighting with him. Like, he even works at the airport here in Utah. And so I saw him last time I left town, and he was he's part of security, right? So I'm sitting there and I see him, and I'm like, I walk up to him and say very verbally, "You stole my birthday." You could just, people go, why is this woman yelling about her birthday to a security guard? And, I was doing it and all in fun, but because I'm very happy for him. But it did have that energy of fight. And then to top it all off this weekend, I got a group text from one of my brothers, and he was talking about our father and how we need to celebrate my dad's birthday, and by the way, while we're celebrating dad's birthdays, we can go ahead and celebrate Donnielle's birthday too. And I actually lost it, you guys. It was really interesting. I got so mad, and I said the words, "How many times do I have to fight for my birthday this year?" Because I was pissed, because I'm like, Dad's birthday is in June. We've already celebrated it. Why are we trying to celebrate it in August, right? And so it was really interesting. So I got this mad fight energy. How many times do I have to fight for the right to celebrate my birthday this year? And the interesting energy that comes up with it, here's the part where I'm telling on myself even more. So it was a text, right? So I pick up my phone to send a aggressive text, right? Not necessarily nasty, but just an aggressive text, a reply to this. I burned my phone. Literally, it starts restarting. I'm like, why is my phone restarting? I didn't push any buttons. All I did was pick it up, and it restarts, you guys. I was such an energy that my phone was like, restart. And so I couldn't send the text, which I was like, thank you, universe, and thank you, consciousness of the phone, and thank you, body, for having my back about being an idiot and sending that text. So the phone restarted, but it didn't restart properly. It said, "Oh, sorry, the reboot has failed. You must conform back to factory settings or something to try and save data." I mean, I fried my phone, you guys. It was awesome. And so I was swearing about that and trying to fix my phone, and I pick up my TV remote to change the channel. The flipping thing turns off. I'm not even kidding. I didn't push any buttons. The TV turns off. I mean, I was sending out such an energy of fight, aggression, and anger. Not that potency one, but just anger, that I shut off all electronic things within the, vicinity. So my computer was like, please don't touch me. Please don't touch me. I know I'm sitting in front of you too. I saw what you did to the phone. I saw what you did to the TV. Don't touch me. And so I really had to stop and go, wow, what am I fighting for here? And it was really interesting that I was fighting for a validation from my family, which was an interesting thing, you guys, because, last birthday was kind of weird, blah, blah, blah. And so I was actually fighting, because I asked a question. I'm like, okay, what am I fighting here for? Which is one of the tools, is just to be really vulnerable and say, what am I fighting for? And I was fighting for a validation and a being chosen from my family, which was quite an interesting place to be, because A, I didn't think I'd let my family affect me that much, and B, who did that even frickin' belong to? And so it was really interesting that I got so mad and had this fight, but it was just the way the energy was, is what I'd been taught, that you have to fight. You have to have reason and justification for the way things were turning out. Because if they didn't turn out exactly as I had planned, I didn't have the right reason and justification to validate the choices I was making for celebrating my birthday. Okay? I know I just said a lot of words, and I know I just felt a lot of people going, huh? what just happened? Well, a lot. Because in this example, I was maintaining the fight and the unhappiness and the not celebrating my birthday with the fight of it, okay? I was literally going, I am not going to have ease with this, starting right from the beginning when it was scheduled at the same time as the class I wanted to go to, right? And so I was starting the fight right then. I put it automatically into a either-or universe, a loss and a gain. Because how much about this fight is about where we lose and where we gain, okay? And so I was putting into, I go to class and I lose my birthday. Because I was even like, well, then I just won't celebrate my birthday. How, right? So I was in the either-or universe, a loss or a gain, a win or a lose. In how, in how much of the reality actually teaches us that there is a win or a lose to everything. And that's how you know you're doing it right or wrong, is if you're winning or if you're losing. And how many of us know how to lose? I do. I know how to lose. I know how to lose really well. Do you know how to win? What does that even look like? And if you have to win, that means you have to have somebody that loses against you. Tell me how there can be oneness in consciousness out in the world when we are functioning from, if I win, that means somebody else has to lose. And if I lose, that means somebody else won, and that means I lost something. What? But you get to see this merry-go-round, right? It goes round and round and round and round and round and round and round. So what would happen if we didn't do that? And especially if we didn't do it with our bodies. Because if we're in a fight with our body, which is really curious because our body doesn't have a point of view, trying to fight with your body is really just fighting with yourself. So what fight with yourself are you maintaining with the fight you are fighting to keep? Okay? You get that, right? You're fighting to keep the fight going. Because with the fight, you know who you be, how you be, that you can be, the validation or invalidation, the agreement that you have choice or you don't have choice, or that you're worth something or if you're not worth something. Because I know so many people just fight to prove that they have value in this world. You know, one of the things at Access we talk about is, what if you can be a contribution right now, just as you are? And, and that's one thing I stress so much in these Right Body for You workshops and calls and sessions and everything is, your body has value. You have value. What if you never had to change anything to have value, to be? What if you didn't have anything to prove? What if you could just choose? What if there was no fight? I mean, because look at how much energy I expended fighting with my family, which, by the way, when I say fighting with my family, I never actually called or talked to any of them. So I just sat in my apartment and stewed. So they didn't know I was fighting with them. So who was I really fighting with? Was I fighting with my family or was I fighting with me? And that is so much of what we do with our bodies, is it's not fighting our bodies. It's actually fighting us. So if you weren't fighting you, what could you be? What could you choose? What could you create? Okay. We're going to take our last little break. When we come back, I have more tools. I always have tools. I have more tools to share that can help shift and change this fight, whether it's fighting with your body, fighting with your life, fighting with your family, even if they're not in the room. It's like, what would it take to actually change the fight and have no fight? What would it be like? What would life be like if there was no fight? Interesting energy, isn't it? All right, cool. All right. This is Donnielle. You're listening to Right Body for You. And we are on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back.
The life and the body you secretly hope for is possible. Somewhere you know that, right? What if creating that body and life is not about deprivation and sacrifice? Would you be willing to choose it? What if it could be as simple as changing how you look at things? Right Body for You with Donnielle is a different kind of radio show. Each week, Donnielle invites you to you. She shares simple tools that you can use immediately to create changes in your body and your life. Something different begins now. Listen for Right Body for You every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Mountain, and 11 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What if there's nothing wrong with you? What if you're far greater than you've ever given yourself credit for? What if it's time to know the gift and the contribution you are to the world and to like yourself a lot more? Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago, I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. Asking questions opens doors to infinite possibilities. And it's not about finding the answer. It's about being the question. Always. What I'm inviting you to step into is something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Newton, Da Vinci, Gandhi, Picasso, and Aristotle all knew to be true. What if no question is too big or too small? What if anything is possible for you? What if together we could create a kinder, gentler, happier world? Is now the time? Go to beingyouclass.com and sign up for a free video series, My Gift to You. beingyouclass.com. What if you, truly being you, are the gift and change this world requires? beingyouclass.com.
This is Right Body for You with Donnielle. To participate in the program today, please call toll-free in the U.S. 815-880-8255 or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. If you'd like to email a question, please send it to Donnielle@accessconsciousness.com. Now, back to the program.
And welcome back to Right Body for You. Thank you so much for joining us today in this most interesting topic of who's winning, you or your body. And you know, as I was preparing for the show, I really got what a big topic this is. And you know, and I look at the time, I'm like, oh my gosh. And so, you know, there's more to be said on this, but one thing that I really want to talk about, you guys, is that please get judgment keeps the fight in place. It really does. Judgment keeps the fight in place because it's all about the judgment of the rightness, the wrongness, the validation, the invalidation, the proving, the not proving. I know proving and not proving are kind of the same with two coins, but it's all about judgment. So it's like, what judgment are you keeping? Are you fighting to keep? I know this is one of those topics that kind of go round and round and squirrely because we fight to keep our judgments in place. We fight to keep our the rightness of the wrongness of us. We fight to keep the misunderstanding with our bodies, and we even fight to have that cookie. Do you guys get that? It's like, well, I'm not going to ask my body what it wants to eat because I've already decided and judged that my body doesn't want that cookie, so I'm not going to eat the cookie. And I'm not going to ask my body if it wants the cookie because it obviously doesn't want the cookie, and so I am not going to ask because I want the cookie. Fight, 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 fight. So what judgment are you fighting to keep? Okay. So one of the tools, you know, I've given a couple tools in the show of what are you fighting for? And so one of the tools that really came up with me when I was doing this whole weird thing with my family, my birthday, was, what future am I trying to create with the fight I was choosing? Because I was choosing to fight with my family to create unhappiness around my birthday. Why? I don't know. Who did it belong to? Not me. And it was still the reason and justification and the excuse for the fight that I was choosing was the unhappiness with that, or the validation that, you know, they weren't celebrating me or some hooey, right? But so the question is, what future am I trying to create with this fight I am choosing? And it could be even something like, to prove that I could eat that cookie, to prove that my body doesn't listen to me, to prove that I am more superior to my body, that my body is not about telling me what to do. And so what future are you trying to create? And yes, I'm using those words very specifically. What future are you trying to create with the fight you are choosing? Okay? Because none of the stuff ever makes sense, you guys. It never does. Okay? And because it's held in place with judgment, one of the other tools to help really stop this fight is to get rid of the judgment. And I know you guys are like, oh yeah, easier said than done, right? Nice fight. See where this sneaks up on you? But if you could do that gratitude and judgment tool that I talk about a lot, every time you are judging something, which, trust me, these fights are nothing but judgment. Every single time you are doing a judgment, find something to be grateful about. And you know what? That judgment literally dissipates. Judgment cannot stand up in the face of gratitude. So you go and you have this place of gratitude. You can't even really judge yourself. You can't fight with yourself. You can't fight with your body. So gratitude and judgment cannot coexist. So when you're fighting, when you're judging, stop, podpock all of the judgment, step into the gratitude. And that, trust me, will end some of the fight. Okay? It'll end a lot of the fight if you allow it. And what would life be like if you didn't have to fight? How much more energy would you have available to create, to generate, to be, to choose? I don't know about you, it was really interesting when I was fighting this so-called fighting with my family. I was also supposed to be creating the book. I was supposed to be writing the second book. And when I was fighting, I didn't have any energy for creation. I had to stop that, podpock it all, and shift it and change it before I could get back into the energy of creation. So what creation are you avoiding with the fight you were choosing? See? Out of nowhere comes another one right at the last minute. All right, so please, you guys, listen to the show again. There was a lot on this topic. Oh, my gosh, it's going just crazy, the places we can go with this. And do check out my website, Donnielle.com, Donnielle, to find out more about New Orleans, Right Body for You tools in action. I can't wait for this class. I get the energy of it. I know everything that it can shift and change and the clarity it can add to these tools. And, oh, yeah, the freaking fun we're going to have. 30 of us running around the French Quarter of New Orleans. Woohoo! Could you imagine? Oh, yeah, I'm imagining it. It's going to be fun. So check it out. If you don't have the prereq yet of a Right Body for You workshop, you can do the one in Edmonton, Canada, online or in person, so I can come play with your body. And both of those would make it for make you available for coming to the class. So I do hope you check it out. But do check out my website, not only for the information, but also if you want to do a session, let me know. It's a great way to get hold of me. You can listen and watch to past shows. You can buy the products, like the Shattering the Lie of Body Image series is on there. And I'm about to put up another one about body image. It was really a lot of fun. So please do check it out, DONNIELLE.com. And, oh, yes, you can also listen to past archives of radio shows. It's been over 2 years. Wow, I can't believe that. It's been over 2 years doing the radio show, Right Body for You. So lots of fun information on my website. Do check it out. A lot of it is for free. It's just the information needs to be out there, and that's a great place for it to be. So, you know what? Thanks, everyone. Make it a fun week, a happy week. I hope to see you back here next week because I'll be here. And until then, enjoy your body because it's enjoying you. Have fun, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Right Body for You. Donnielle will return next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Mountain, and 11 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you and your body will join us. Until then, have fun.